Stake it until you make it. What's the flip side? Hello for members. This is coming from Wilder Billies. Recently bought some staking tokens for the purpose of testing how it works. What if ETH will become a staking token? So Ethereum is planning to switch over to proof of stake. What will happen to all proof of work mining rigs and companies? Will they just flip to another coin, or will they start staking ETH as a sort of mining? Okay, so Stefan Chetty, once again, very actively engaged in the forum already. So he goes on to say, that's a good question actually. You need to think about it from a game theory perspective. What would your average miner do? Before deciding on what to do, they'll have to bear in mind that it's a function of the price of Ethereum when staking goes live, number of Ethereum nodes in operation at go live, staking rewards, emission schedule, opportunity and incentive to form large Ethereum staking pools in light of the... Yeah, I think that's definitely a good analysis. So, all right, so question, what will happen to Ethereum miners once they stake? I think it's tough to say, but I think Chetty is right. We definitely have to take a game theory approach. So we look at the different options. So either they continue to mine and almost in a way fork and become a new currency, similar to what Ethereum Classic did. So I think that's possible. I think there's some miners that may continue to mine Ethereum. I mean, obviously, I'm no Ethereum developer, so I'm not sure how this would happen technically. But my understanding is Ethereum in a way is doing a hard fork to switch from proof of work to proof of stake. So by doing this, some people could, because it is decentralized, so some people can opt to continue mining the old Ethereum. I'm not really sure if they block that. I don't think they can block it because that would really go against being open source and decentralized. So I would think most people would switch over to proof of stake. So I think you'll have different factions. So very interesting to see what would happen. Maybe it's a way to double dip. If I'm not sure how that's possible, but if it's like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV, where people basically got free money with the airdrops in a way. So, but back to the question. I do think a small subset of miners will continue to mine the old Ethereum proof of work chain, and that could create its own Ethereum cryptocurrency. But obviously they would have to be mobilized and kind of stick together, and then all the other exchanges out there would have to recognize that and make it available to trade. But I think most miners will switch over to proof of stake, because if they're mining, well, I think it would also depend on their cash flow and balance sheet. If they have lots of Ethereum already that they've made from mining, then they would just stake that and just earn money. But if they don't, if they're burning through lots of Ethereum or Ether and don't really have much Ether in their wallets, then switching over to staking from a game theory perspective will be very detrimental. So, okay, so just to kind of walk through that example, let's say I'm an Ethereum miner and I have $10 million worth of Ethereum in my wallet I've made from mining. Let's say I've made 100 million total, and I'll spend 90 million of it, whether expanding, investing, whatever, buying mansions, Lambos, who knows, right? But let's say I have $10 million worth of Ethereum in my wallet right now. This is just an example. And I have the option to switch over to proof of stake. If I can stake $10 million, I think let me see if I can find the Ethereum staking rewards. Ethereum proof of stake staking reward. Okay, so the thing, it could be up to 10% annually. Okay, so this is from stakingrewards.com. They already have it here. So they're saying it's going to be about 7.76%. So about 7%. So that would give us a decent amount of money. This is annually. right? So that would be about $700,000. I mean, not bad. I mean, so with that example, with that example, I would basically just sell all my mining rigs, stake my $10 million worth of Ethereum, and make back 700 grand each year. I mean, that's basically going on a vacation. That's basically retirement. But now let's have a second example. Now assume you're a miner, and let's say you're in debt. You've been taking L's. Let's say you took an L during the Ethereum flash crash, or you've taken some L's from trading or whatever, or maybe from futures, right? So I think there are some Ethereum futures out there, and you have just like 10 grand and the worth of Ethereum, but you still have mining rigs. With very low cash on hand, it makes no sense to stake 10 grand just to make back $700. So in that situation, you're probably better off trying to mine Ethereum under the proof of work stake. But then Ethereum would be its own cryptocurrency, and the price of that might even tank, because if the network effects cross over to proof of stake, then no one is really going to be using that Ethereum proof of work cryptocurrency or chain. Now, I believe I did see somewhere about Vitalik or somebody in that community saying that for DeFi to continue doing well, they have to maintain the network effects, and they can't really have a split or have people staying and creating their own cryptocurrency, but it's decentralized by nature. So I don't think they can ever stop that. So let me see if I can find anything on that and see if there's what people say about Ethereum forking. So Ethereum proof of work, new crypto. Let me see if this brings up anything. Okay, yeah, I'm not really seeing much on this, but if there's anybody out there who's Ethereum expert or developer, maybe feel free to chime in the comments down below, because okay, so here we see a difficulty bomb that they're looking into. Let me just see what it says. So it says, as a piece of code embedded in 2015, the difficulty bomb is one of two components which gradually increases the hashing difficulty on the Ethereum blockchain, meant to force the network towards proof of stake with the Serenity network overhaul. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's big. So looks like there's a backdoor in Ethereum that they can change the difficulty, making it impossible almost for miners to mine. So similar to Bitcoin, Ethereum features a mining difficulty adjustment scheme to control the output of Ether rewards for mining on the network, of which the bomb is a part of. Unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum's difficulty bump increases the time it takes to mine a block, typically between 10 and 20 seconds every 100,000 blocks. Okay. So, okay, that does change everything. So, looks like there's a difficulty bump they can just trigger to change to force people to switch over. But the question is, who triggers that up? Is that I guess the community just votes on that? Okay, so, I mean, if that's the case, then to answer your question, everybody will switch over. But I mean, I feel like it's crypto. So even if that's the case, the code is open source. So people will just fork Ethereum, take out that difficulty code, that difficulty bomb, and reboot the network, and just try to get people on board to mine proof of work Ethereum. So it's not really going, but yeah, so technically it would be its own brand new cryptocurrency if that's the case. So it'll basically be a fork, because we've had forks of Ethereum already with ETC, Ethereum Classic. We have forks of Bitcoin with Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Gold. I mean, there's so many Bitcoins now. So I don't really see a world where nobody will fork Ethereum proof of work and keep it going, because whoever does could possibly gain, especially if they don't gain anything from proof of stake, because if they don't have any cash on hand. But I mean, that's my take. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.